the Atlanta Hawks traded their 4-time All-Star Trae Young. Now they traded
Yes.
him to the Washington Wizards in exchange for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Now, when you look at this, it doesn't seem to be very even. Some of the writers on ESPN, they graded this as a B for both teams.
They're crazy.
What do you think the deal is on this trade? What
Well,
kind of a grade would you give it for both teams?
So I'd give the Hawks a D. That being said, it's my understanding that they're trying to clear cap room so they can pick up Anthony Davis. But on the flip side, in order to get Anthony Davis, my guess is they're going to have to give up some draft capital, as well as some salary to match. So I don't know who they think they're going to trade. Maybe McCollum and Kispert will be the two they trade. I don't know. At its face value, it's not a very even trade. If McCollum was 10 years younger, then it would. I would call that pretty even. But at the age that McCollum is, I'd give it a C- at best.
Yeah, I was kind of perplexed about the players that were all involved in this trade.
Yeah.
If you look at the metrics for the Hawks, right? Now, you talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. I asked you the question, hey, are the Hawks better without Trae Young? And this is even way before any of this.
Yep.
And you kind of said, hey, look, I think they're actually playing better without him. Daniels seems to be the point guard that fits better than Trae Young. And then you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who actually came from the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're more defensive minded. They're a better defensive team with those two guys on the floor. Trae Young, his liability is defense. He's a smaller guy.
Correct.
He's so good offensively that sometimes the coach will kind of turn its head, just like Steve Kerr turns his head with Curry's turnovers. Trae Young's liability on defense, because his offense was so good, that the coach just said, hey, we can live with some of his liabilities on defense because he's so good on offense, because he is actually a really good distributor. So what happened here is, I think that you might be right. There's probably another trade looming. I don't know the details on that. We're going to get into the details on that.
No, yeah.
What I can tell you is that CJ McCollum is not as good a shooter as Trae Young, but he's serviceable as a shooter.
No, I don't want to downplay him. He's a good player.
And he's just old. He's just older. He's a lot older.
Yeah, he'll fit in Atlanta, but you're giving up youth. You're giving up youth for a player who maybe has 2 good seasons left. So yeah, that's just an uneven trade. At least get a second-round pick or a late first-round pick.
Just scream discontent. They just wanted to kind of get rid of Trae Young and get something in return, and that return wasn't that great. Corey Kispert's kind of not even really in the rotation, really. I mean, he's been hurt, and he is a decent kind of bench player, but he's not somebody that commands a 4-time All-Star type of caliber player. But CJ McCollum, from a defensive standpoint, is better than Trae Young. So I think from a net, they think that they got something better in return, because he kind of fits. He's more of a veteran, and he kind of fits in the current mold of a better defensive squad with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson. Of course, the emergence of Jalen Johnson being like a beast of a player. So I think that's probably the thinking, but I think you're right. There's something in the works. Like you said, Anthony Davis could be coming. I don't know, but that whole wrist injury kind of screwed up those plans. So
the other thing that I would note is, the interesting thing is, did this trade set the market on what to expect in terms of value for some of these named players? Anthony Davis they're thinking about moving him. John Morant, they're talking about moving him. There's some rumors, the 2 guys over on the Pelicans, Jonathan Kuminga is another one. So you got a lot of players that want to be moved, and Trae Young is a bigger name and a bigger attraction than most of those players. Now, I wouldn't say bigger than Davis, but definitely bigger than Murphy and Herb Jones and Kuminga. And if that's all you can get, what are you supposed to get for those other guys?
Interesting. So interesting. But those are some franchises that are not necessarily guys that have GMs that kind of command a lot of stuff either. They haven't necessarily had that reputation. So it could be just a function of the personnel from a GM standpoint to be able to kind of try and pull a Danny Ainge and get everything you can. So it's possible with that too.
Hey everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all-volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these 2 boxes for more of our work.